This card is an absolute disgrace, especially coming off UFC 313, where we saw many high-level fights, including a very high-level main event. Marvin Vettori and Roman Dolidze are going to headline the Apex card. I wouldn't exactly call them high-level, but it is a card we have on Saturday. This card is pretty much just a glorified Contender Series card with a lot of guys and women that the UFC is looking to get rid of. So very low-level matchups, but either way, I'm going to get this video out to you. It's my early picks video. I go through every single fight. I give you my early thoughts, my early pick, my early lean, but this is before all the research that I put into it. If you watch my last week's early picks video, you know if you watch my official picks video, a lot of stuff can change after you dive into the tape, but a lot of people like to get my early thoughts on these fights coming up. So that's what we're here for. Please bear with me because I didn't go to sleep until 5 a.m. last night, and I had to get up a couple hours later to take care of my 5-month-old baby. And here we are, Sunday afternoon, looking to give you the content. So please hit the like button for me because I'm getting this out to you. I'm very sleep deprived, but I got the Zins in the upper deck, burning my top lip. I got a Celsius. I'm drinking some energy, and I'm trying to give this to you. So appreciate y'all. Before we get into the early picks for this week, let's talk about last night. It was an amazing night. Maybe part of the reason why I didn't go to bed until 5 a.m. because I made a ton of money. But the Homo Fight Picks premium members were positive 6.8 units on the straight bets and the parlays. 3 for 3 on the money line bets. We had the Rizvan Kuniev bet push because Curtis Blades pulled out, but Amanda Lemos came through, Bahamondes came through, and Ankalaev came through. Those were all one-unit plays. One of them was a dog. I guess Ankalaev was technically an underdog, but not much. It wasn't plus money. So swept the board on the money line plays. Our parlay got nerfed because Gutierrez and Castaneda did not happen, so what was an even money parlay turned into a minus 200 straight bet on the over 2.5 for the Marshall Santos fight. That hit. Threw a couple darts at Ray Soria in round 1 and 2, just for the possible chance that the guy is actually really good at grappling, and it didn't happen. So we lose 0.4 units there, but we did cash in on Rufy KO1 for a nice little 1.88 unit profit, and we absolutely smoked the 2-round prop bets. Those were free. Those were free money. The under 2.5 in the Leal Morono fight, free. And the fight no distance in the Rufy Green fight, absolutely free. So great night of bets there. The DFS plays were also profitable. If you watched my best bets video, we were so close to hitting a 100x payout on better picks and a 20x payout on underdog. The only play on DFS that I did not hit was Ignacio Bahamondes higher on significant strikes. So overall, I think I went like 7-1 or 8-1 on my DFS plays. And we cashed in 3 units of profit with the 2-leg slips. Would have been awesome to absolutely sweep and hit the 100x and the 20x. But we cashed in another 3 units on the DFS plays. We're cooking on those. So overall, we're positive 9.8 units in profit for UFC 313, which means in 2025, we are now up 15.64 units. If you want all my bets, jump in the Homo Fight Picks premium membership. Use code HeyJive. You'll get a free trial. There's a link down in the description to do so. We got a ton of fight cards coming up. Now is the time to do it because we might just be catching some fire. Let's get into the breakdown. Josiane Nunes and Priscilla Cachoeira, I guess, is starting off the card. It's a terrible fight, like just name value wise and just the level of fighters that these girls are, but it actually might be a solid scrap. Okay, Josiane Nunes, absolute midget, just spams overhand lefts. That's pretty much all she's got. Priscilla Cachoeira, what do they call her, the zombie girl or something like that? She is a brawler, and she is dangerous on the feet. So I expect this to be a stand-up fight where both girls are just kind of slugging it out, because I don't really see either of them really looking to take the fight to the ground. I guess maybe Josiane Nunes might try to push up against the cage, might try to take her down a little bit, but Cachoeira doesn't want to be on the ground. She wants to stand and bang. So this might actually be a decent women's MMA fight where we could see some big shots and some blood. Cachoeira, 36, probably going to get cut if she loses. Maybe going to get cut even if she wins. Nunes, 5'2", at bantamweight, it's always just a rough look. But I do think she's probably a little bit more. I think she should be favored here. I think she's a minus 200 favorite or something like that. But I wouldn't really count on her to win this fight. Let me just say that. I think she should be favored because I think she's got more heart in her. She's got more dog. She's got a little bit more durability. And I think she's got a little bit more power. But she's very limited on the feet. And Priscilla Cachoeira, she can crack you. And she can put up 15 minutes of, putting up shots. But she is so hittable on the feet. And I think Josiane Nunes probably wins a decision or maybe a late round finish in this one just based on forward pressure, just ducking her head, winging her overhand lefts, and looking for those big shots. Priscilla's only good when she's able to go downhill, and Josiane Nunes just doesn't really allow you to do that. It's crazy to look back to see that Cachoeira beat Ariane Lipski. Like, Lipski is a real legit striker, and Cachoeira knocked her out in the first round. So she's dangerous. For my early pick, I'm going to take Josiane Nunes, younger, more forward pressure. I think better cardio than Cachoeira as well, so I'll take her. Let's move on. Su Young Yu and AJ Cunningham. I told you this was a rough card, okay? Su Young Yu is a massive favorite in this one. Anybody that's in the UFC is probably going to be a massive favorite over AJ Cunningham. Cunningham is not much other than a tough fighter, which is not a good look when the only thing that I could really say about AJ Cunningham is that he's tough. He'll take his punches. He's not going to bitch out, but he doesn't really have many skills. I mean, he can stand in the pocket and throw, and he can catch Su Young Yu with some shots, but he's not going to be able to withstand the power that Su Young Yu has. Not that he has great power, but he's a decent striker, and he can grapple. I think Su Young Yu wins. AJ Cunningham had no reason to be in the UFC. He got absolutely obliterated on the Contender Series, and then they brought him in to get murdered by Ludovic Klein. And now he's pretty much just in the UFC with a couple fights on his contract, and they're like, well, we got to throw you to somebody, so we might as well give you to this South Korean guy that just came off the road to the UFC, and maybe he's decent. We'll see, but I think Su Young Yu wins. He's a massive favorite. Not much to say about this one either. Other than maybe, AJ Cunningham, pretty big dude for 145. Maybe he is able to take the punches, deliver some shots back, and maybe Su Young Yu freaks out. Maybe he freaks out and AJ Cunningham is able to get downhill and kind of take over, but I don't really see it. Su Young Yu is the early pick for me. Another one where we got a Contender Series guy taking on a guy that should have never been in the UFC. Okay, Carlos Vera is 37. He was on The Ultimate Fighter, didn't make it. I don't think he lost in the first round or the second round. They bring him in on short notice to fight Rinya Nakamura. He gets grappled up for 3 rounds. He's a jiu-jitsu guy with pretty much no stand-up, and he's taking on an absolute tank in Josias Musasa. Okay, I remember Musasa from the Contender Series because he's from the Democratic Republic of Congo, and he was fighting on the African regional scene, and he was just nuking guys in the first round. Like, the dude his physique is insane. Like, the dude is a brick shit house who has explosive movements, big power. And I was fading him with a Georgian fighter, Tanzalov, I think it was. And he looked good. He actually looked really good. Very green. He won the fight. I think it was a split decision. But he showed he could go 15 minutes. He was stuffing a lot of the takedowns from Tanzalov, who's a really good fighter. I think he should probably be in the UFC. I think he's a UFC level guy. And he beat him. So I think Musasa is a really solid prospect for the future, but he does need to, get a little bit more skills in his bag. He's just very raw, very athletic, kind of relies on it, and it worked out for him on the Contender Series fight. But for me, it was just huge for him to see him go 15 minutes, being that explosive, looking that way. I'm like, dude, there's no way this guy can keep up the power throughout 15 minutes, but he found a way to win a decision. So I think he's a pretty good look here against Carlos Vera, who's doesn't offer much outside of some type of fluke submission, which could happen. I mean, Musasa, I don't really think has the greatest jiu-jitsu game. So if the fight does go to the ground, maybe Carlos Vera could latch something up. But in all reality, he's going to have to get the fight to the ground. I don't think he's got the wrestling to get Musasa to the ground because Musasa has some crazy strong hips, unbelievable hips he showed on the Contender Series. I was mind blown, honestly, watching that fight. So Musasa, in all reality, probably knocks him out within the first 2 rounds. I'll take Musasa for the early pick. Sam Hughes taking on Stephanie Luciano. I love me some Sam Hughes, man. I'm not going to lie. I like me some Sam Hughes because you know she's tough. You know she's got 15 minutes of cardio. You know she could maybe mix in some grappling. And you know she's got a ton of heart. And she's an underdog here against Luciano, who, in my opinion, just doesn't really impress me all that much. She fought in the Contender Series against Talita Alencar. She lost the first 2 rounds, 10-8'd her in the third. So it was a draw. And then they rematch in the UFC. And that fight went pretty much one way, where Luciano got her striking going early. Alencar is an absolute midget at like 4'11" with only jiu-jitsu. Her striking is terrible. And she was able to outstrike her to a decision there. But Sam Hughes is going to be a lot more well-rounded than Talita Alencar. I think Sam Hughes' striking might be good enough to deal with Luciano. And if she wants to, she can mix in some wrestling, some cage control time. You know she's got 15 minutes of cardio. So right now I'm leaning towards Sam Hughes to pull this off. I know Luciano had her UFC debut, but essentially it was like another Contender Series fight. You know, Sam Hughes has enough fights in the UFC where we know what she's about. And I think she could beat a girl like Luciano, who just doesn't really impress me all that much. So I'll take Sam Hughes for the early pick. She's like a plus 200 dog right now. I'm eyeing that up. We'll see if I get there or where this line moves. But give me the vet in Sam Hughes for the early pick in this one. In all reality, it probably goes to a decision. It's probably very close. And, probably some people will be screaming robbery one way or the other, but Sam Hughes nonetheless. And here we go with Judice Duben. The viral knockout she had on the Contender Series where she was, a plus 1,000 underdog, something like that. She knocked Shannon Clark out in round 1. Shannon Clark looked like a soccer mom out there. And I just thought basically Duben, I think I actually bet on the under there, which cashed. I didn't bet on Shannon Clark, I could tell you that. And I didn't bet on Judice Duben, but I bet on the under because I knew Duben was dangerous early, and I think Shannon Clark had the finishing upside on the ground. But Duben absolutely flatlined her in round 1. And what we didn't really know about this girl was what was her level of competition. It didn't look good, and it looked to me like she found a right hand that just came from hell and put her out. But then you find out she's like a world champion in Taekwondo or something like that. So she's a pretty solid striker, but she's a little bit short for the division, 5'4". But sure, her striking did look pretty good against Shannon Clark. And I actually faded Shannon Clark in her next fight in the LFA, and she won. So that's actually a good look. That's a pretty good look to beat Shannon Clark. Shannon Clark goes back to the regional scene, picks up a dub. So Judice Duben is still kind of a wild card here. Carly Judice, on the other hand, not really a wild card, but she's a favorite in this one. I think about minus 200, minus 300 favorite in this one. She's 3-2 in her professional record, coming off back-to-back losses. Very weird to see that, where a girl is minus 300. She's almost got a 500 UFC or a professional record, 5 fights in her professional career, coming off back-to-back losses. But Judice, I think, is a really solid boxer, a lot of volume, good cardio. She's shown pretty good durability, and I think Judice, if she can extend the fight, will probably be able to weather the early on storm, extend the fight, and take over. But at the end of the day, Carly Judice doesn't really have much pop in her shots. Like, that's basically why she's losing these fights. She's going to decision. They're very high volume striking affairs, but her punches just don't seem to affect her opponents. And she's losing these splits based on getting hit with stuff and not really looking like she's taking it as well as she's dishing it out. And if Judice Duben can go 15 minutes and land big shots, she could definitely win a 15-minute decision. So in my opinion, it's probably dog or pass. Right now, I'm kind of leaning towards Judice Duben just because she's a big dog. But I don't know. She's such a wild card at this point. It's like you're kind of taking another chance. You know, she's a plus 1,000 on the Contender Series. You basically just had to take a chance on her. Here she is after a round 1 knockout. You kind of just got to take a chance on Judice Duben as well. I don't know. I'll take Judice Duben for the early lean, but this is one that, in all reality, I'll probably stay away from just because very volatile, low-level women's MMA. Both fighters very young in their career. We don't know too much about them, but Duben is the early lean as of right now. Moving on to some heavyweights, we got Waldo Cortes Acosta taking on Ryan Spann. Never been a Ryan Spann guy, but we do know Ryan Spann is very dangerous in round one, but after round one, he kind of falls off a cliff. So if you're Waldo Cortes Acosta, you got to be ready for the kitchen sink thrown at you in round one. Spann's going to be very powerful on the feet. If the fight hits the ground, he's got the submissions to snatch something up and put you out of there. But Waldo's a pretty durable guy, man. Very durable guy. Like the guy, he's never been finished. His only loss in his professional career was against Marcos Rogerio de Lima. And de Lima just popped for some steroids. So who's to say he wasn't on the steroids back when he fought Waldo Cortes Acosta? Waldo's a very solid fighter overall. He's not really going to blow you away with anything. Solid boxing up top. Good jab. Good right hand. Is very susceptible to the low kicks, but Ryan Spann doesn't really throw low kicks. So that's probably a factor that's not going to play in this one for the Ryan Spann side. But Ryan Spann can catch anybody. Very athletic, very powerful, very explosive. And if he catches a right hand on Waldo, even though Waldo's kind of got a brick head, it might not be enough. I am still going to take Waldo, though. I think over the course of 15 minutes, he should be able to get a victory. And I think he's durable enough, smart enough. He's not really a guy that takes a ton of risks either. Kind of plays it safe in a lot of scenarios, which is good to pick up the win. He's not exactly the most exciting heavyweight, but it does pick up wins. So I'm going to take Waldo Cortes Acosta for the early pick. I'm not picking my nose, trust me. I got fucking allergies, all right? And I might sneeze a few times throughout this video. Please hit the like button for me, all right? I'm dying here, okay? Waldo Cortes Acosta is the early pick. Let's move on. Andre Lima taking on Daniel Barez. It's a fun fight. Flyweights. I like Andre Lima. I like Andre's Muay Thai style. Very calm, very composed. Kind of picks his shots, but at times I'm like, Andre, we might need to do a little bit more. We might need to throw a little bit more out there just to kind of separate yourself. You know, his fight with Mitch Raposo, it was a split decision victory for him, but one of the judges scored it for Raposo. Terrible scorecard, but at the end of the day, like, if Lima just threw more out there, was a little bit more aggressive, I think he could pull away in a lot of these fights because he's a very technical and very good striker. He's a good striker who's durable. His takedown defense is improving. His ground game is improving. And against Daniel Barez, who's 36 years of age, I think he should probably beat Daniel Barez. But Barez has really clean boxing, especially early on. He's dangerous early on. And his jiu-jitsu, I don't want to say is super good, but it's dangerous. Like, if he gets Andre Lima in a bad spot on the ground, he could definitely finish it. But he's not a guy that's really going to take you down and, like, work towards the submission. So I don't really give Barez, like, a ton of grappling upside in this one. I think Lima's a big dude for the weight class who is strong in the clinch. And he's probably going to be able to win those exchanges. On the feet, I just need more from Lima. If he throws a little bit more volume in this fight, I think he wins it pretty clearly. Daniel Barez picked up a victory his last time out against Altamirano. But Altamirano, not a guy that really threatens you at all on the feet. Pillow fists, always goes to decision. And Barez just really didn't have to respect much. You're going to have to respect what's coming at you with Andre Lima. But if he could just pick up the volume a little bit more, I think he wins this fight pretty clearly. I'm going to take Andre Lima for the early lean. I know this is the year of the undefeated fighters losing their O, but I think Andre Lima gets past Daniel Barez in this one. I'll take him. Before we get into the main card, again, if you want all my bets, jump in the Home of Fight Picks premium membership on Winnable. There's a link down in the description below. Use code HeyJive to get you a 5-day free trial. We're positive over 15 units on the year, 100 units in 2024, and over 44 in 2023. So we're green the last 3 years, and we just picked up a nice win on UFC 313. We're catching some steam. Go join the premium membership to get all my bets this week. And if you need a sportsbook, jump on Wager Attack. It's available in all 50 states. When you deposit, you can get a 200% free play bonus. So if you deposit $100, you're going to get $200 in free play added to your account. And if you deposit with crypto, you're going to get a 10% cash bonus. So if you deposit $100 with crypto, you get $10 in funds added to your cash bonus. You can deposit with PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, bank, crypto, Very easy deposits. It's a great sports book. There's a link down in the description below. Jump on Wager Attack if you need a sports book. You should have multiple sports books as well. I have probably 4 or 5. I should probably have more. But you should have as many sports books as you can, just so you can shop for the best lines out there. Link down in the description for Wager Attack. To the main card. A prospect that many people are looking at as the next big thing. Kevin Vallejos. Absolutely beautiful performance he had on the Contender Series. This dude's only loss is to John Silva on the Contender Series his first time. And it was a very close fight. He's given John Silva pretty much his toughest fight in the last however many years. 5, 10 years. So that says a lot. And he was, 21 when he fought John Silva? And he was a favorite over John Silva. Because I remember that fight, and I bet on John Silva to win. But I didn't know John Silva was going to be that good. I just bet on him as the underdog because I thought he was a pretty durable guy, good striker. And Vallejos was pretty young, fighting on the Argentinian regional scene. Didn't know exactly how good he was. Turns out they're both killers. So Vallejos, UFC debut here, taking on Sungwoo Choi. It seems to me like a setup fight for Vallejos to get a win over Choi and for the UFC to cut Sungwoo Choi. But Sungwoo Choi is not a bad fighter. At the end of the day, this guy has beaten some good fighters. Beat Yusuf Zalal in Yusuf Zalal's first UFC stint. I think it was a split decision or a unanimous decision, but it was a good fight for Sungwoo Choi. It's a good win to have under your belt. Sungwoo Choi is not a bad fighter. I think he could probably hit Vallejos with some shots in this one. Solid striker, good timing, but it comes down to durability, and I think Vallejos has much higher durability than Sungwoo Choi at this point in his career. Choi's been cracked many, many times. He's 1-4 in his last 5. Absolutely no momentum coming into this one. And as I explained in the Bahamondes Turner fight last week, momentum is a huge thing. Vallejos got all the momentum, all the confidence in the world, just had a brutal round 1 knockout on the Contender Series, and he's probably going to come in here and knock out Sungwoo Choi. The thing is, Vallejos, even though he says he's a big 145er, he's pretty small, man. He's like 5'7", going up a guy that's 6 foot. He's going to have a 6-inch reach disadvantage. He's going to have to be crafty in the way that he kind of enters, but he is very explosive, really solid boxing, solid leg kicks from the outside as well, and just very composed young guy. So I think Vallejos comes in here, probably gets a knockout within round 1 or 2, and puts away Sungwoo Choi, and the UFC cuts Sungwoo Choi. Vallejos, really solid fighter. Really like his style, and I think he picks this one up as a big favorite. He's about minus 400 right now, which is a little bit much, but in all reality, he probably does find the knockout. So Vallejos is the early lean. Hernandez versus Holobaugh. This is your classic Apex fight right here, all right? Alexander Hernandez, split decision his last time out against Austin Thud Hubbard, and it was a fight that really could have gone to Austin Hubbard. Hernandez just continues to let everyone down. I mean, this guy came into the UFC, knocked out Beneil Dariush, and he was supposed to be the next big thing. He's 2-3 in his last 5. Now, he's lost to some really good guys, but you're going to a split with Austin Hubbard. It kind of shows the level you're at. Austin Hubbard, to me, is not a great fighter. He's a decent all-around fighter, but he's not dangerous on the feet. Got decent cardio, decent wrestling, but not really much to where you have much to be worried about. I guess maybe just getting outpointed by the guy. But Hernandez did pick up the win, so you got to give him that. Holobaugh, on the other hand, 38. Second, I think it's his third stint in the UFC. Was on the Ultimate Fighter, lost to Trey Ogden after winning the Ultimate Fighter, and picked up a win against Kanan Krzyzewski his last time out, which showed me a lot, honestly. Just for the fact that he went in there and kind of dogged it out at the age that he's at, shows he still wants to be in there. And it was a back and forth type of fight where Holobaugh just essentially took over in rounds 2 and 3 and was able to drown him with volume. Holobaugh's boxing is really nice, and I think if he can kind of get that momentum here against Alexander Hernandez, he could take over in rounds 2 and 3, because we know Hernandez, not exactly the cardio king, but at 155, it seems like his cardio is better. 145, he always falls off a cliff after halfway through round 1, maybe even, or halfway through round 2, maybe even the start of round 2. But at 155, I think it's a little bit better. Hernandez probably going to hit a little bit harder, But Holobaugh, pretty durable guy. So I think if Holobaugh can extend the fight into rounds 2 and 3, I think he could probably take over. So I'm going to lean towards Kurt Holobaugh here. I know it's disgusting. He's 38, and I don't really think he has much of a future. But stylistically, I think he can match up with Hernandez. Stuff the takedowns. If anything, Kurt Holobaugh, really good jiu-jitsu game as well. If the fight hits the ground, Holobaugh could snatch something up. Hernandez has been there and done that, lost by submission before. So Holobaugh is going to be dangerous on the feet. He's going to be dangerous on the ground. I like him. I'll take him for the early pick. But another one that I want to look at a little bit more before I make any bets for sure and before I make my official pick. But right now I'm leaning towards Kurt Holobaugh. Blackshear, Cody Gibson. Is it just me or does Cody Gibson and Kurt Holobaugh fought on like the same cards every time they fight? It's the Ultimate Fighters guy, I guess. But this one's pretty straightforward to me, man. Like Cody Gibson, back-to-back wins, but you got to look at the competition. Brian Kelleher, retired, was absolutely washed. I had Cody Gibson by sub in that one. I had the under. I thought Cody Gibson was going to be able to go out there and submit Brian, who's been submitted many times, and he did. Last time out against Chad and Hellinger, Cody Gibson is just way too big for Chad and Hellinger. He just went out there and bullied him and won, was a 30-27 decision. It might have been 30-26. He beat him pretty good. But now he's taken a big step up in competition. Blackshear is a really good fighter. He's been on my radar since his UFC debut when he fought Yusuf Zalal. I bet on Blackshear against Yusuf Zalal in Damon's UFC debut up a weight class. And he won the first 2 rounds and then got 10-8'd in the third because he was on short notice. His cardio failed him and it went to a draw. And ever since then, I'm like, Damon's a good fighter, man. Like, he's a really solid guy. And then he went on 2-fight losing streak, and it's like, okay, here we go. Is this the fall off of Blackshear? Even though I thought he probably should have won that fight against Bautista, showed the levels to Blackshear in that fight. And it was on, 7 days notice? Huge, a really quick turnaround. Arguably beat Bautista, and then he gets knocked out by Montel Jackson in like 18 seconds. And then I'm like, okay, this might be the downfall of Blackshear. But then he had a great performance his last time out against Cody Stamann and just absolutely walked through him. Walked through him on the feet, landed a nice knee, hurt him, got him on the ground, rear naked choke round 1. Blackshear is back, boys. All right, he is back. I'm going to throw that Montel Jackson loss out the window. If you get knocked out in 18 seconds, it is what it is. Okay, I think Blackshear rolls here. I think he's got him covered in every aspect. I think he can outstrike Cody Gibson on the feet. He's probably going to out-grapple him, too, on the ground. Blackshear is a really good grappler. I know Cody's a pretty solid grappler in his own right, but I think Damon is just, he can match Cody Gibson's size. His jiu-jitsu is better. I think his wrestling is better. So I think Damon's got Cody Gibson covered in this one. I like the youth of Damon as well. And coming off a nice round 1 finish win against Cody Stamann, I'll take Blackshear to get this one done. I don't think Cody Gibson is knocking this guy out in 18 seconds. So give me Blackshear. He'll be the early pick, the early lean. Let's move on. Nurgozhay taking on Brandon Ribeiro. The undefeated fighter might lose here. I know that's not what you want to hear, but I'm just kidding. The Kazakhstan guy, I wasn't really big on him on the Contender Series because he's kind of low volume. Doesn't really look that intimidating out there, but he's actually a pretty technical and patient striker, which you can appreciate. But Ribeiro is a huge dude for the weight class. Explosive with big power. And he could come in here and give Nurgozhay a tough run for it. Because if Nurgozhay doesn't find the right counter, then I think Ribeiro is probably going to be winning. This is how the fight goes, in my opinion. I haven't watched any tape, but I know the guys from their most recent fights. Ribeiro's probably going to be winning this fight until he doesn't. Okay, he's going to be winning the fight based on popping the jab out there, hitting some low kicks. But Ribeiro's chin is suspect, and I think Nurgozhay probably finds a clean shot to put him out or at least hurt him. So I'm going to take Nurgozhay, okay? I'm not a huge believer in Ribeiro. I think Nurgozhay is a pretty solid prospect for 205. I would like to see him just be a little bit more active on the feet. Like he's kind of just waiting for the right time. I don't know why, but he's like always wiping his eye. It's like a weird tick. It kind of just pisses me off. I don't know how to explain it, but like bro, stop wiping your eye and throw some punches. I think he beats Ribeiro, probably knocks him out. But Ribeiro's guy that's been in the UFC, fought some decent guys, and he could easily win this fight just based on out-voluming the guy. He's got big power as well. Maybe Nurgozhay hasn't, faced a guy that's 6'3", 81-inch reach and has big power, and he's a little bit scared in it. Can't find his reads. We'll see, but I think Nurgozhay probably wins. I'll take him for the early lean. Co-main event. Zaleski taking on Chidi and Njokuani. On paper, this might look better than Cody Brundage versus Julian Marquez, but that co-main event did turn out to be pretty fun. This one could turn out to be fun as well, but it also could turn out to be a 15-minute fight where it's two old guys in there, not really a lot is happening. Zaleski, dangerous Muay Thai striker, and he's going to be looking to hit Chidi with some big shots because Chidi is going to be able to establish his range with those kicks, and Zaleski's going to have to get in on the inside. And when you get on the inside, Chidi's going to be looking to clinch you and get into that Muay Thai clinch and kind of bully you because he's 6'3", man. He's 6'3", long as shit, dangerous striking on the feet, big knees up the middle, and really hard kicks. So Chidi, he could definitely win this fight, man. Like, Zaleski is a durable guy with pretty solid cardio and a real solid will to win. But he's 38. He's coming off a win against an absolute bum on short notice, which doesn't really put too much, I don't put too much stock into that because it's basically a free win. If Chidi could come in here, establish that range early, not gas out. It doesn't seem like he's gassing out at 170 too. Since he moved down from middleweight to 170, seems like his gas tank is a little bit better. Kind of weird because usually you see like the weight drop, the gas tank starts to fail them, but it looks better. Maybe it's just because he's working more, trying to make that weight, doing a little bit more cardio. But over the course of 15 minutes, I think Chidi could maybe pull this one off, landing the bigger shots, bullying him up in the clinch. And Zaleski does have a solid ground game, but doesn't really look for takedowns all that often. So right now I'm leaning towards Chidi. I've always liked Zaleski, but he's getting a little bit older. He's getting a little bit slower as well. And I think Chidi, even at 36, just being bigger, he's still pretty fast. I think he could probably out-volume him at range. And then on the inside, if he can avoid a big shot from Zaleski, I think he could bully him in the clinch as well. So I'll take Chidi for the early lean on this one. Interesting co-main event, honestly. I think it's a fun matchup. Obviously not a great name value. This card is shite, but Chidi is the early pick nonetheless. Brings us to the main event. Another Marvin Vettori Apex main event. Another Roman Dolidze Apex main event. I don't even know where to go with this one. Because if Marvin Vettori has the blockhead durability that he always has, I think he wins based on cardio and volume. But he's coming off a brutal loss to Jared Cannonier, where he took unbelievable amounts of damage. Like, probably took 5 to 10 years off his life. That was back in 2023. He's taken his time to recover. I don't know what this guy's been doing. I've seen Marvin Vettori down in South Florida for quite some time. Trained a little bit with my boxing coach, which is good, I guess. I saw him at PFL. Marvin Vettori is just a weird guy, man. Just a very weird guy. If we get the Marvin Vettori that we knew before the Jared Cannonier fight, I think he's able to take the shots from Roman Dolidze. I think he's able to keep moving forward and win this fight on cardio. I didn't even mention this, but yes, this is a rematch. And the first fight, Dolidze arguably won, but Marvin Vettori won by decision. 3-rounder. Dolidze was pretty much just spamming overhand rights, and Marvin Vettori doesn't move his head, so he was getting hit with those overhand rights, but wasn't really getting affected by him. And Marvin Vettori pretty much just out-volumed him to a decision victory. Was it a robbery? Maybe. I thought Dolidze probably should have won because he was landing some big shots, but Marvin just doesn't react. He doesn't react to getting hit by anything. So Roman, even if he does land those shots, if Marvin's chin holds up, he's not going to react to anything, and Marvin's going to outpoint him. And when I say outpoint, I don't mean like he's not getting hit and he's hitting him more. It's just like he's just going to throw more. He's got solid volume, got solid boxing, and his wrestling is good enough to stuff the takedowns from Dolidze. Dolidze is not that great of a wrestler, but he is dangerous when he gets you on the ground. And I don't know if he's going to be able to get Marvin Vettori to the ground. So over the course of 5 rounds, I think Vettori wins at least 3 out of the 5 rounds. Just based on volume. I would favor Marvin Vettori later in the fight. Dolidze's gas take is never good, and his volume is never really that good either. He's always looking for that big shot. If you can't knock out Marvin Vettori in a 5-rounder and you don't have the volume to keep up, I think Vettori probably wins. So right now I'm going to lean towards Marvin Vettori, but it's one of those fights where we don't know what we're going to get with Vettori moving forward after that beatdown he took from Jared Cannonier. So we'll see. Younger guy in Vettori, though, as well. I like that. They've trained with each other as well, I believe, at Extreme Couture. Back in the day, I don't think Vettori trains there anymore. I think he's down in South Florida now. But, yeah, I'll take Vettori for the early pick. I appreciate you for watching this video. Like the video for me. Subscribe to the channel. We'll be back here throughout the week with more content for you. Till next time, hey, Jive Picks.